Okay, so let's do the line chart for this question. I think the problem is that Mr. A's earnings is much lower compared with Miss B's earnings. So we might need two y-axis, or alternatively, we can say we need a secondary y-axis. So first of all, let's plot this chart, line chart. You can see it is difficult to interpret the earnings trend of Mr. A because he earns way too little compared with Miss B. But let's move the legend to the bottom. And the x-axis, select data, edit, then the years from 2006 to 2018. And now you see the changes here. Okay, I think we should have a secondary y-axis. So right-click anywhere on the second line chart or Miss B's line chart, right-click anywhere. Format data series. There should be an option. Yes, secondary y-axis. Close. And now you can see it is now much easier to interpret the earnings trends of both people. And then right-click, move chart, new sheet. Okay, let's increase the font size. But I think this time we need to label the two y-axis clearly so that people would know the y-axis on the left-hand side stands for Mr. A's earnings, and then the other y-axis stands for Miss B's earnings. So how can we label the axis? So chart tools, layout, axis title. The first y-axis, meaning primary vertical axis title, it will be, is it vertical? I think this is the wrong option. Let's go back to the, it rotated, sorry, rotated. Yes, then you can type Mr. A's earnings. Okay. And then similarly for the other one, layout, axis title, now the second one, secondary vertical axis, rotated title. So you can type it as Miss B's earnings. So you can actually see the upward trends in the earnings of both persons during the 12-year period. Okay, I think this is the only question in connection with sheet 4. Then we can move on to statistical analysis, summation, minimum, maximum mode, etc., variance, standard deviation. Okay. So we have to use the information here. Okay. Final marks. Actually, this is the y variable explained by study hours. So first one, let's start with this one, study hours. Minimum equal. You already know the minimum study hours is equal to 1. So equal. Min, this is the keyword, minimum. Open bracket. Then you must tell Excel the data range. It would start from B2 to B11. If you're happy with that, then close bracket. And then you can press enter. Indeed, the minimum study hour equals 1. And similarly for the next one, maximum study hours, you know the answer is 8 already. So equals maximum, open bracket, then the data range, and then close bracket. You know, in this Excel sheet, I deliberately sort the data from minimum to maximum. But in real life situation, this is not the case. So it will take a bit of time to use your pair of eyes to look for the minimum and maximum value. Okay. Then the mean in Excel, I think the keyword is average, but not mean. So make sure you type the right keyword. So equal average, open bracket, then the range, and then close bracket. Okay. Median stands for the number that appears most number of times, providing it appears at least twice. So if you look at the data range clearly, the mode should be 2 because 2 appears 3 times. So equals median, open bracket, same data range, close bracket. Okay. Mode. The previous one is mode. Okay, sorry. Okay. Ooh, I explained it wrongly. Okay, let me start from scratch. Okay, mode is what I explained just now. Okay, the number that appears most number of times. Sorry about that. I must be hungry for lunch. Okay. Okay, indeed. Median is rather the numbers located in the middle. We have 10 observations, so the fifth and the sixth observation, you have to take the average. Okay, so the median is 2.5. Obviously, you have to first sort the data before you would derive the median. So the keyword is median, same data range, 2.5. Okay, variance is about the dispersion of the data, so equals variance, VAR, from a sample of 10 students, then the same data range. Okay, so VAR, keep that in mind. And then the next one, standard deviation. I think the keyword is STDEV. Yeah, standard deviation. STDEV, yes. Same data range. Actually, standard deviation is the square root of your variance. Okay. And then you can do the same for the final mark. Again, you don't need to enter the equations. Use that dragging double click command. So you highlight the data range. Again, see the cursor. You move the cursor to the bottom right hand corner. It becomes thinner. Then left click, hold it, and drag rightwards. And then you release. Okay. So for the final mark, this is the minimum 30, maximum 80, mean 46, median 40. For the mode, there is no mode for final marks. Do you notice that each final mark only appears once? Remember, for a number to qualify as mode, it must appear at least twice. Variance 286, standard deviation, square root of variance, 16 point something. And then the last one, correlation coefficient involves two variables. It examines the linear relationship, extent of linear relationship between two variables. So the command is a bit more complicated. Equals CORREL, correl. Okay. Open bracket. The first data range, the x variable, so from B2 to B11, comma. Then the next data range, the y variables, from C2 to C11, close bracket. So let me leave it here for 10 seconds until everyone is ready. Then you can press enter. Okay. Yes, correlation coefficient 0.9875. Remember from your undergraduate econometrics, correlation, or even your BUS statistics 132. Correlation coefficient is ranged between -1 and +1. And for this one, 0.9875, it is very close to +1. Then it means there is a strong positive relationship between study hours and final mark. It makes sense because students who work harder, who study longer hours, are expected to perform better as a student. Okay. Then we can run the bivariate regression. In other words, it is strictly speaking an XY scatter plot. And then after you finish deriving the XY scatter plot, you can ask Excel to insert the regression. So we highlight the data range, insert, scatter, the simplest one, simple scatter with only markers. Okay, take that out, we don't need that. And then right click, any marker, add trend line. Trend line, it means I actually want Excel to insert a regression line. And then it is linear. Remember OLS, linear, ordinary least square. And then take the last two options. Excel, please show the regression equation and then the R square. So this is your regression. Okay, and then right click, move chart, new sheet. I think this time we should clearly label the X and Y axis. So layout, axis title, horizontal or x-axis below the axis, then you can type study hours. And then the next one, vertical axis, rotated title. And then this is final mark. Okay, did I make typo error? Oh, no, it's correct spelling. Okay, happy with this? Then let's move on to the next one. Demand supply questions. So we move on to sheet 6 now. Okay, so you are given the supply and demand equation, you are given the price information, okay, which is your y-axis in the supply demand charts. So your quantity, use your mathematical thinking. So quantity equals price minus 4, close bracket, divided by 0.5. Use your mathematical thinking. Okay, let's just compare with the actual answers. I just want to be safe. Yes, from -8 to 12. Okay, and then for the demand equation, again, use your mathematical thinking. Using this demand equation, quantity is equal to 10 minus price. Okay. Later, we would do a chart on unemployment rate, inflation rate. I think it relates to the Phillips curve. And let's do the question on inflation, which is the percentage change of consumer price index. We can't derive the answers here because we don't know the 1989 CPI, but let's complete this. It is equal to CPI from 1 year minus CPI of the earlier year, close bracket, divided by CPI of the earlier year. Okay. And then percent, let's say we show the first two decimal places. Then that double left click combine to complete the calculations. I think you still know the inflation targeting by the Reserve Bank. I think it was implemented at the end of the first quarter of 2000. So the primary goal of inflation targeting is to control the inflation rate to within 3 to 6%. So you can see for some years we attained the target, but then for other years it's clearly above 6%. And it's interesting, let's say 2004, actually inflation rate is below 3%. Okay, so let's do this question. This is an XY scatter plot, demand supply curve, but actually we will plot two XY scatter plots in the same figure. And then we want to connect all the markers with a line because both of them are linear lines or linear XY scatter plot. So let's do the first one. Supply, insert, scatter, this one, scatter with smooth lines. So this is my supply curve. Right click, select data. I must still give a name to this one. Nobody understands what series 1 stands for. I must rename it as supply. So edit, supply. Okay, do you see the change here? But I must still add another XY scatter plot in the same figure. So add demand. The X values would be the quantity, the Y values, the price. And then OK, and OK again. Now I think we are done with this. Right click, legend at the bottom. Always remember to move the legend at the bottom. Move chart, new sheet, chart 11. That's it. I just want to increase the font size a bit. When you have time, you can label the x-axis as quantity and y-axis as price. So you see the equilibrium price is 6 Rand. Equilibrium quantity, is it 4 units? I think so. 6 Rand and 4 units. Yes. Okay.